I don't think any of us are all that surprised that the Borderlands movie is bad, but I didn't expect it to be this bad.
If you want people to get into the game, take them to see the movie. It's also a story you've never seen before with characters you love, so let yourself be taken on a ride and just have a great time. I'd say shut your brain off, grab your popcorn, and let the movie entertain you.
Let's just say this movie is definitely one for the abyss. I will be surprised if anybody talks about this movie 3 months from now. The only time you'll ever hear someone mention this movie is if they're talking about another shitty video game movie.
I am Claptrap!
A movie based on a video game should highlight all the best qualities of that game's story and characters.
I'm gonna break every bone in their body, and then I'm gonna kill them. I'm really gonna kill them.
Mainly because they can't use gameplay as a crutch for quality. And I think telling your own story in an adaptation is fine. And sometimes it's necessary and can't be avoided. But it's extremely important to match all the aspects that make the game special, that don't directly have to do with gameplay. Unless the movie incorporates the gameplay within the movie somehow, like that first person scene from the Doom movie, or the sponsored segment from this video. Do you guys remember that massive video I made on Game of Thrones? And this one event drastically altered the tapestry of the world. I'm a big Game of Thrones guy. I love Game of Thrones. That brings me to the sponsor of today's video, Game of Thrones Legends. It's a puzzle role-playing game featuring team-based player versus environment and player versus player battles with collectible and upgradable champions. Those will be familiar faces like Jon Snow and Daenerys Targaryen. The game even features characters from House of the Dragon, a show that I'm quite fond of as well. So you can use characters like Peter Baelish and Rhaenyra Targaryen. You can equip them with items to make them stronger, with deadly weapons that they might use in the show, like Arya Stark and Needle. It will transport you to the heart of Westeros, from the icy north to the fiery south. You can forge your own journey by forming a new House of Westeros and competing against rival alliances in tournaments and special events. So secure your legacy. Download Game of Thrones Legends by clicking the link in the description and get 50 gold, 3,000 food, and a daily summon token to start your journey. Thank you so much to Game of Thrones Legends for sponsoring this video. Now back to the review. I got the feeling that nobody who worked on this movie really cared about the games. It seemed like just another project to them. Most of the people that worked on this movie never played the games, and they only heard about the games after being pitched this movie.
Well, I mean, I didn't know the game at all, so it was a deep dive for me.
You know, in the game, which I'd never really played before.
I can't say I played a lot of the game, right? But did I have to play the game just to understand what the world was? Of course.
I knew what Borderlands was.
Sure, yeah.
But I had never played it. I was just aware of it.
Borderlands is based off a video game.
Yeah.
And obviously I had no idea about
Sci-fi, yeah, I love it.
Let's do a quick show of hands. How many of y'all actually played the Borderlands games before signing on to the movie? I see Florian, I see Eli thinking about it. Eli thinking about it.
It should be a rule that if you're going to make a movie adaptation of a game, then you have to either 1, be a huge fan of the game already, do a lot of research, play the game yourself to completion, or in this case, games, plural, or 2, consult the people who made the game.
They know that we've made something original, something fresh, that respects the characters and the themes and the vibe of Borderlands, but is a story they've never seen before. So we're going to surprise and delight them too.
Temperature, how's everyone feeling?
I'm maybe the biggest Borderlands fan that I know, and that made me hate the franchise.
Because when you don't care about the thing that you're adapting, it's so obvious. And in this case, this isn't Borderlands. This is Boomerlands. Why are all the characters so old? Okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. This movie was in production hell. They originally wanted the movie to come out around the same time as Borderlands 3. Obviously, that never happened. The script was changed many times. This guy would write a script for the movie. Nope, don't like it. Then this guy wrote a script. Nope, don't like it. This guy wrote a script. Don't like it. Change after change after change. It took 5 years for the 18 different producers to finally find a director to make this thing. Another thing that kicked this movie's ass is that they filmed it during the pandemic, which mustn't have been easy. So I empathize with the filmmakers here.
Kate called it COVID madness. I think everyone was like, we'd all been cooped up. So we literally went from COVID in lockdown before there was a vaccine to Budapest.
The movie was pitched as a cross between Guardians of the Galaxy and Mad Max. And in a perfect world, I can kind of imagine a Borderlands movie feeling like that. And this movie is kind of both of those things. if they both sucked ass. This movie is uninspired, unfunny slop. And it's kind of sad because I have fond memories playing the Borderlands games. They're really fun to play with your friends. For those that haven't played them, they're very cozy looter shooters that mostly anyone can have a good time with. For the first game, I played as Brick because I find him really funny. I like running around and punching people to death. The writing in them ranges from clever, witty, and funny.
Get off this echo frequency, you protein-guzzling buffoon! I'm trying to convey—
That sentence had too many syllables! Apologize!
To eye-rolling and cringe-inducing.
Apollyon Station. Just blast that subway car with your butt stink.
And they definitely peaked with Borderlands 2. Borderlands 1 was pretty good. Pre-sequel, trash. Borderlands 3 was meh. Tiny Tina's Wonderland, I never beat. Because while Tiny Tina can be pretty funny in small doses, when she's constantly talking your ear off, it makes you want to put a shotgun in your mouth. Out of all the games, the first two are definitely the most iconic. The characters are very memorable. Mordecai, Brick, Roland, and Lilith. Axton, Maya, Salvador, and Zero. I think it's an interesting idea to take characters from different games and plot them in a movie, but I'm not too sure about the characters they chose. It's weird that Maya and Zero weren't in this because everybody loves those characters. Personally, I wouldn't have chosen Krieg, especially when Brick is right there. A guy who chooses to go into gunfights with nothing but his fists. That sounds hilarious in a live-action adaptation. And it's even stranger that they put a DLC character in this movie. The casting for this movie is baffling. It isn't often you find a movie where every main character is miscast. Well, this is one of those very rare occasions. And the villain in this movie is atrocious. I'll explain more about that later. Some of the characters are better than others, but it's just embarrassing that the best casted actor was the one guy who wore a mask throughout the entire movie. And the only prerequisites for his character were muscles, tall, and grunt good.
Wow, cut. That was amazing. It was amazing. It was amazing.
Hell, there are cosplayers that are more convincingly live-action versions of these characters than those in the movie. I mean, whose idea was it to cast Kevin Hart as Roland?
He was big. He's a big guy in the game. I said this is an amazing opportunity for me as an actor because you're going in a complete opposite direction than what the fans of this world may expect or may think Roland should be.
Kevin Hart believes Borderlands is a conversation ender on controversial casting.
Complete opposite direction.
Kevin Hart is just not an actor that anybody takes seriously. Kevin Hart is a comedian. He's not an action star. When Kevin Hart's Roland tries to act badass, I can't help but cringe a little bit.
Do me a favor, take your weapon, toss it over here, grab some supplies, take a walk.
Everything is working against him in this role. His stature, his voice, his past roles. I can think of a million people who would have been a better fit.
And that's what's cool is taking everyone that you know, like Kevin, we know from comedies. The only way we're gonna, shut people up is by having you do just nonstop. I want to throw like 200 people at you and just have you kill them and take them out.
He sent me to bring you to safety.
My dad sent you.
That's right.
His shortest soldier.
Cate Blanchett admitted she knew nothing about the games and that she can't play video games well at all. She also said this in an interview with Empire. My thumbs can barely control a phone, but I bought a PS5 when we played together. I wanted to know the limits of the game and what fans loved about the character. I got really absorbed in that world. Don't get me wrong, I'm not exactly surprised that Cate Blanchett didn't play Borderlands before. It's just weird to cast her in this role in the first place. Even she knew that her being cast in this movie made no sense. The crazy asks are usually the things I gravitate towards. The things I could never conceive of. I applaud her for trying. I don't want to shit on Cate Blanchett. I think she's great. I loved her in the movie Tar.
What about Beethoven? You into him?
She does her best in this movie. I still think she was miscast. Lilith in the games is in her 20s. She's simply too old for the role. Ariana Greenblatt did try her best to be Tina, I think, but she didn't hit the nail on the head. She didn't have the same snarky and playful tone of voice that Tiny Tina has in the games. She tries, but it isn't convincing.
Time to make it rain with your body parts.
In the movie, she feels like a girl that needs a guardian. In the games, it definitely feels like this girl is taking care of herself just fine. She's a deranged, sadistic psychopath with a bouncy, kooky sense of humor.
When you're ready to start the party, please smack Mr. Fleshstick in his bitch face.
Eli Roth told her to imagine the kid version of Harley Quinn to better help her play the character Tiny Tina.
And the first things he said was go like if she's the kid version of Harley Quinn. So that's kind of how I was finding her way with her personality.
But why? Why direct her towards a different character? Like, I see the obvious similarities there, but there's already an existing character for her to research. Just have her look up Tiny Tina moments on YouTube. So they launched the trailers for this movie. The reception to them wasn't the best. It finally hit theaters, and it was a box office bomb. It made $4 million on its opening day, $8 million on its opening weekend, with a $115 million budget and $30 million for marketing. Like, holy shit, this movie failed miraculously. Nobody saw this. I have a feeling that a Borderlands movie would probably fail no matter what, unless you had someone like James Gunn making it or something. And even then, it might have failed. I just don't see a huge demand for a Borderlands movie right now. The first game came out 15 years ago. That means that most people that played and enjoyed it back then are in their 30s or 40s now. I know this because I'm one of those people. This movie isn't all bad. I'm a big fan of the sets in this movie, and the practical and digital effects are pretty good. And the little claptrap guy they have for the movie is pretty cool, I suppose. The team did a pretty faithful job bringing Pandora to life. It was just lacking that sort of flair from the games that I was expecting from a Borderlands movie. You know how in the games when you run into a boss, the camera will zoom up to them and they'll pose, and in big bold text, their ridiculous name will pop up on screen? It never gets old. It gives the games this like endearing comic book type of vibe. It would make a lot of sense that they would do the same thing in the movie, right? Surprise, surprise, they didn't do that. In fact, they didn't try to stylize this movie in any way to make it feel like Borderlands.
I don't think they even have a clear understanding of how close we're coming to the game. It looks like the game. It's unbelievable.
So that was a fucking lie. I think it would have been cool if they tried to stylize the movie in some way other than sets and costumes. They couldn't have made the characters look cel-shaded somehow, whether that be through makeup or digital effects. I think it would have added a lot to this movie.
Well, I was like, are we going to do the painted edges and like that high contrast look? Like, are we going to do that? Yeah. Are they going to paint us like that? How does that work? I just didn't know what we were going to do until we got there. Yeah. So
it goes without saying that this movie should have been rated R. The games are brutal, ultra-violent, post-apocalyptic Mad Max-inspired shooters with a billion guns. They mix brutality with comedy, when this movie mainly focuses on comedy. And all the comedy sucks.
I have no choice but to serve you until you're dead. Did that sound like a threat? Sorry. Anyway.
And the action is super bland. How do you make gun violence fun? Well, you make a movie like John Wick. How do you make a Borderlands movie like John Wick while keeping it PG-13? You can't. It is speculated that studio interference resulted in the movie undergoing 2 weeks of reshoots at the helm of Tim Miller in order for it to achieve a PG-13 rating. The only reported reason that Roth didn't return was that he was filming Thanksgiving when reshoots were scheduled. The timelines match up, so I don't think it's quite the same thing as, Joss Whedon, please save this shitty movie. This stings so much more when you realize that it was originally meant to be rated R with a lot of gore. According to IMDb, there's an interview with Kevin Hart from ScreenTest.com where he apparently said the movie was definitely a hard R rating, where they were blowing people's heads off and cutting off feet with butcher knives and dropping a ton of F-bombs. Turns out ScreenTest.com is a domain for sale, so I can't imagine they interviewed Kevin Hart. I'm guessing this was partially fabricated from a Screen Rant interview with stunt coordinator Jimmy O'D, because one of his answers seems to be the basis for the fake Kevin Hart quote. IMDb also states that Florian Munteanu described a scene where his character Krieg tortures a villain by cutting his ankles off. This is fake as well. There is a real quote though. Eli Roth was on the second unit. He came over and he was like, just cut the ankles off. Yeah, you get the knife and cut the ankles off and we will leave these stubs. So it's super cool that any random person can just post fake bullshit on IMDb, a very popular website that people go to daily to find out specifics about a movie. It feels like 9 times out of 10, whenever these bigwigs try to make decisions for a movie, it backfires and fucks everything up. They could have used the gore and violence to make the comedy better. It's fairly easy to play off of gore with comedy. I haven't seen the original cut of the movie, so maybe it was shit. It probably was. But I'm willing to bet that it was at least a little better. Also, Eli Roth was a strange choice for director, especially if the studio was dead set on a PG-13 rating. Because the guy is mainly known for horror movies, like super gruesome and bloody horror movies. This guy makes movies like The Green Inferno, for fuck's sake. This guy knows how to shoot satisfying kills with lots of gore. He knows how to build tension and create a fun movie that has to do with people dying. So that's clearly what he should have done for this movie, right? Nope, this movie's for kids.
Obviously, the game is very R-rated. This is PG-13. This is a movie you can take your kids to.
Why that's the case? God knows. It should be noted that this isn't Eli Roth's first movie for younger audiences. He also directed the movie The House with a Clock in Its Walls a few years back, which also starred Cate Blanchett and Jack Black.
Uncle Jonathan? Uncle Jonathan!
He says in this interview that he wanted to feel like a 9-year-old kid again when he goes to the movies.
When I go to the theaters and I have popcorn, I want to be a 9-year-old kid again. I don't look at it as a director. I don't look at it as a critic. I just want to turn off my brain and be entertained by a story.
Like, he clearly wasn't initially making this movie for 9-year-olds. It seems like he's trying to change the narrative, trying to convince viewers and himself that this was always the direction the movie was going in. I swear.
I didn't want to make a movie that was bleak and depressing and absent of hope. I wanted a movie that you just feel great at the end of it.
He wanted people to have a blast in the movie theater. Fine. But you do that by making fleshed out, funny, and compelling characters. You know you can make a fun and goofy movie that also has bleak and depressing undertones? That's what a Borderlands movie should have been. This guy doesn't know how to write jokes. Why is he the writer for this movie? It makes no sense alongside Joe Crombie, this ghost human. Who is this guy? His name is Joe Abercrombie on IMDb, and his past credits include nothing aside from editing on various random projects. This is his first movie writing credit. Some have speculated that this is a pseudonym for Craig Mazin. In 2020, the movie was originally supposed to use Mazin's screenplay. In 2023, Mazin was suddenly removed from the project. People speculate that he wanted his name removed because he knew it was shit, but he has since denied this. This World of Real article, with the hilarious title, Borderlands writer Joe Crombie might not even exist, notes that a total of 8 screenwriters worked on scripts or rewrites over the course of development. So Joe Crombie could technically be any of them. All right, let's start from the very beginning.
Long ago...
I didn't love Lilith's narration in this movie.
Yeah, that sounds like some wacko BS, right?
McSqueeze me sauce?
I didn't think it was necessary at all, and it was just a way to introduce people who didn't play the games to this universe. This is just a theory. A game theory. I'm pretty sure the narration was added in post when they were reshooting the movie to make it PG-13, because they had to rewrite stuff, and what's a better way to put a bunch of plot into your movie than narration? It kind of felt like the narration in Blade Runner.
Our galaxy was ruled by an alien race called the Iridians.
I don't know why he saved my life. Maybe in those last moments he loved life more than he ever had before.
Roland finds Tina and breaks her out of a cell, and there's a gag about his helmet not having air holes.
God damn! There's no air holes in there.
Yes, this is the caliber of comedy we're dealing with in this movie. It reminded me of that awful scene from Star Wars when Finn is walking around the ship with water leaking out of his suit. Although this scene is cute because it's a throwback to the games. Roland in the games had said in regards to Tina,
I've saved your life a few times and she saved mine even more.
So they deserve some props for doing a little bit of lore hunting. Krieg then breaks out of his cell, and he does so with little effort.
Try to break this glass, please.
Sure? Yeah.
Well, he throws a soldier at Nox, this woman, her name is Nox, which knocks her down to the ground, and apparently that was enough to incapacitate her. Maybe she hit her head. Okay, fine, that probably could happen. We're introduced to Lilith, and one of the first things she says is, I'm getting too old for this shit. Like, thank you, writers. We can see that she's much older than her in-game counterpart. Also, why didn't they give her yellow contacts? The character from the games has yellow eyes. Her intro is kind of cool though. It has this like Western feel to it. She's extremely quick on the trigger finger. She like spins around and kills a bunch of guys. We're then introduced to Deucalion Atlas. I'm just gonna call him Atlas from now on.
These gentlemen work, or should I say, worked for me? As I was saying,
he hires Lilith to find his daughter Tina. In the games, Tiny Tina's parents are revealed to have been tortured and killed through iridium experiments.
Mommy? Just run! Tina! Run!
I get this is an alternate universe, but still, it's just weird. So clearly Atlas is the CEO of the Atlas Corporation. I don't know why they didn't just use Rhys Strongfork, the protagonist from the Telltale game Tales from the Borderlands. He rebuilt Atlas after Handsome Jack's death. Would have been cool to see him as a villain. Like, why couldn't they give us a character with an existing personality that they could work off of? It would have been neat to see a familiar face at least, especially since this Atlas guy in the movie, he just sucks. In her search for Tiny Tina, Lilith tracks down a ship that has been stripped for parts and vandalized by vault hunters, who apparently painted "What's in the vault" on the side of it. That'd be like if a pirate who was searching for treasure wrote on a shipwreck, "What kind of booty is in the chest?" There's this epic fight between Lilith and some psychos who are seen driving one of the familiar vehicles from the games. It lasts a total of like 4 seconds.
Psychos, murderous gangs.
Her spinning barrel infinity pistol is cool though. This is a legendary gun from the games, which is pretty neat to see. They definitely gave her this gun in the movie so they wouldn't need to keep track of how much ammo she used. Kind of a big brain move on their part. Although I don't think any of the other characters who use normal guns ever do reload. I like how she says, I need to catch a ride.
It was time to catch a ride and head north.
But she should have said it how Scooter says it.
Catch a ride with the Scooter Man!
Catch a ride! So she boards the bus like you do in the games. It's pretty cute. The one person in this entire movie that they cast perfectly is so random. Benjamin Byron Davis is a perfect Marcus Kincaid. He looks the part, he sounds the part.
Nice try, Miss Vladoff Infinity. I never forget a gun.
All right, Baghdad, time to wake up. It's a beautiful day, full of opportunity.
Just a great casting choice for that character. Why they couldn't do that with the rest? We're then introduced to Claptrap, Yahoo! And like you already know, he's voiced by Jack Black. I know why they put him in this movie. I just wish they didn't.
I'm programmed for humor, so I will process that as witty banter.
Just because Jack Black is a silly guy and plays silly characters doesn't mean he's a perfect match for all silly characters. It's like they've been convinced that Jack Black is this money machine, so they have to throw him into everything. Like, why the hell is he Steve? His voice doesn't match the game's character at all. You can tell he's trying to sound like the character from the game. It just doesn't work.
And I have many skills. Balancing. Turning in circles.
Oh, come on, let's get down. Come on, everybody. Check me out. I'm dancing. I'm dancing.
Why didn't they just use the same voice actor from the games? They were really banking on that star power that clearly didn't work. Jack Black wasn't in a single interview I watched. It's like he recorded his lines for this movie, sent them off, and then forgot this movie ever existed.
So can we talk about Borderlands or no?
Yeah, let's talk about Oh, yes, the reason I'm here.
It's also a shame that the writing for Claptrap isn't nearly as fun as it is in the games. Not that his writing in the games was always great, but in the game they have the added bonus of playing off the playable character's actions.
Your ability to walk short distances without dying will be Handsome Jack's downfall.
In a movie, they need to make sure the dialogue is witty. His comedy is very in your face, and for like toddlers, like one time he shits out bullets.
Can't you do this another time?
This has to happen now. Don't judge me.
Another time he squashes a flower that everybody is like admiring.
Look.
Mission accomplished. The door's unlocked. Who's the best? I'm the best. Give me a job. I passed the test.
These are jokes for tiny children. It just sucks to see. Lilith tracks down Tina to her makeshift home, and when she introduces herself, she struggles to say her own name.
You must be Tina. Name's Lilith.
Cut.
Cut there.
Great. Excellent.
I mean, I get it. The name Lilith is hard to say. Lilith, I hate Lilith's name. Lilith is a tongue twister of a name. Like, who thought of that? Is that why in the Bible she's like an evil bitch? And then all of a sudden, Tiny Tina is like 80 feet up in the air. How the hell did she get up there so fast? She was beside Lilith 3 seconds ago. Did she use a zip line like Batman? Tina summons Krieg out of a nearby bus like a Pokemon to fight Lilith. He blocks like 30 of her bullets with his saw. That makes sense. Why didn't she shoot his legs? It's made even sillier when Claptrap tells her to
shoot him in the face. Shoot him in the face again.
When that's quite literally the only part of his body that's protected. I think it would have been better if Lilith shot him in the chest and legs, but he shakes off the pain and chases after her anyway, like a psycho should do in this universe. But then they would need to add blood, and they can't do that. Roland shows up out of nowhere in a car to pick up the group. Why are the Crimson Lance firing rockets at the vehicle that has Tiny Tina in it? These people were hired by Atlas to bring her back alive.
It's the Crimson Lance, Atlas's private army. What are they doing here?
Well, just a guess here. Exactly the same thing you're doing.
I don't think he would be very pleased if they brought back pieces of her. During this chase scene, Lilith's infinity pistol barrel doesn't rotate when it shoots, for some reason. Also, just before they fire a rocket on them, Lilith says,
"We got a problem!"
But how does she know they're about to fire a rocket? Did she sense it? Spidey senses? So they drive through this Thresher piss area, where all the Threshers pee, I guess. And Tiny Tina puts the window down, and all this, like, piss flies into the car, and she's like, "Oh my god, it's in my mouth!"
It's in my mouth!
It's so bad. And it's honestly embarrassing that they put it in the trailers to represent this movie's comedy.
It's in my mouth!
It's pink.
It's in my mouth!
Of course, nobody wanted to see the movie if this is an example of like one of the best jokes in the movie, which it is. They drag on this scene because they think it's hilarious.
Sardine showers!
It's pink. It's pee. Now I got pee all in the middle of my truck.
Correction, it's 67% urine, 14% fecal matter.
It's just appalling how unfunny this movie is. We learn that there's 3 keys to open the vault, and one of them is literally Tina, and that's why Atlas wants her back.
My daddy thinks I'm the daughter of Iridia. I can open the vault. 1 key down, 2 more to go. And of course, me.
All right, let's talk about Moxie. She's being played by Gina Gershon, a 62-year-old actress. This isn't as egregious of a change as, say, Lilith or Tanis, but it's still odd how in the games you can hardly tell her age. But in this movie, she's very obviously older, even with the makeup on. As far as all the characters are concerned, she's definitely not the worst. She still looks good. We're then introduced to Tanis.
She's a xenoarchaeologist, all right? She's a little odd. She knows everything about the vault.
Who's played by Jamie Lee Curtis. She would have been perfect for this role 20 or 30 years ago.
By the way, there's nothing meaner than an unhappy gamer fan.
If they had to cast her here, they should have made a joke about how she accidentally aged herself by like 3 decades, messing with experimental tech or something. In this weird Borderlands universe, Tanis knew Lilith's mom, because Tanis is so much older than Lilith. No, she's not. The actresses are 10 years apart in real life. So does that mean in this flashback that Tanis is what, like 15? She doesn't look 15. Lilith is a little baby here.
Did your mother never tell you? I was 8. I can barely remember her face.
Whatever. The ages don't make any sense. It is what it is. When they're about to go down into these sewers, a crew member is clearly visible, helping Krieg open the hatch. Why didn't they edit him out? Did they not notice him? While they're in the sewers, they have to cross over some bubbling deadly acid. Tiny Tina crosses first, but she almost falls to her death. Thank God Krieg has the nifty ability of instant transmission, because he just kind of like pops up out of nowhere and saves her. He's the largest person in the group, but he's also a ninja, apparently. Tiny Tina says this after finding a blooming flower.
Hope blooms in the strangest places.
The writing in this is so bad. This character is not Tiny Tina. I'm about to tell you about the funniest part in the entire movie. Just because it caught me off guard and it's kind of out of nowhere, Krieg says thank you super loud in response to Tanis.
Well, we can't really blend in. We don't look anything like them, except you, handsome.
Thank you!
It's the only time I chuckled throughout the movie. Claptrap is used to distract a bunch of baddies so that the rest of the group can escape. And his dialogue here makes me want to rip my own skin off.
Y'all bitches need to eat your own butts with your hoopy mouth ass faces until you die from loser poisoning like the stupid puss crotches that you is.
Also, why isn't the group escaping? Instead, they just stare at Claptrap as he's talking. They're quite literally being distracted by the distraction that's meant to save their lives. God damn it. Is Claptrap immortal in the games? Because he sure is in this movie. Good lord, he eats a mountain of lead and then sheds his skin, I guess, like the steel. Just pops off, like his outer layer just comes off, and then he just shits out the bullets. The rest of the team vanishes and shuts up for a second, so Lilith can fuck off and overhear the MacGuffin, or Keystone, in the background. Then we get a decently fun action scene, but it's just silly watching Krieg maul people to death with his saw club, and to show no blood whatsoever. Lilith does a lot of shooty bang bang, but none of it has any impact. She can spin her guns all she wants, and yeah, that's pretty cool, but we never get to see any real injury, only people flopping backwards. It gives the movie a spurious vibe. I am not convinced this is actually happening. I mean, clearly it's not, it's a movie, duh, but I like to be immersed when I watch movies. There's a part when Roland shoots a pipe with caustic acid flowing through it, and the pipe is right next to Krieg. He's like holding people up to it, and it sprays out at him, but he's somehow unaffected by it. And again, Lilith's gun doesn't rotate for some reason. Did the prop gun stop working mid-production or something? Roland sacrifices himself to attach wires together that will give power to an elevator that the others are in. Tiny Tina is scared for her friend Roland. So to help him out, she tosses a grenade plushie at his feet. I'm not sure what activates this grenade plushie, but it's obviously not throwing it because it's not activated when he picks it up. It only activates when he throws it. Roland then gets dogpiled by these psychos. So he's dead. Like, look at what's happening to him right here. How did they put this in the movie and not think it's ridiculous that he survives? Especially since this is how he dies in the games.
I'm going after Jack.
So. One bullet to the back. Oh, he's gone. 50 psychos piling on top of this guy. He's fine. He doesn't get a single injury. You know when we saw these guys earlier, they all had guns? Did they all drop their guns to chase after these people? Even so, they could still, like, beat the shit out of him. When Roland gets up out of this pile of bodies, he says,
"Worst orgy ever."
Wow, that's so funny. Maybe they were all trying to make out with him. If that was the case, then he could have survived. He picks up the head of Bob. That's the name of the grenade plushie. It's named Bob. May I remind you that the plushie was the bomb? The plushie's head is still intact after this explosion. Lilith destroys the beacon that was given to her by Atlas, and instantly after she does this, she's approached by a robot that shows a hologram of Atlas so he can talk to her. Like, this robot must have been chilling just outside or something. Atlas was just like, "Hey, I was just sitting here and noticed that you destroyed it. Bad girl, don't destroy that. You may be wondering why I'm following you around with a robot if you're already carrying a tracker device. I have nothing better to do with my time. I'm so goddamn bored." Also, very kind of this movie to remind the viewer who the actual villain is, because I was beginning to forget.
Thank you, Lily.
Tina pops her head in and says,
I'm the only one who can open the vault, and I'm gonna use whatever is inside to kill him. Too bad you won't be around to see it.
Because she doesn't like the fact that she's working with her dad, her evil dad. So Tina tosses a grenade at her, potentially killing her. Krieg and Tanis have no problem with the fact that Tina tried to blow up Lilith. You'd think they would have questions. And why would Tanis leave without Lilith? Tanis cares for Lilith, right? Weren't they trying to make that clear a couple scenes ago? We then see a flashback of Lilith's mom giving her to a younger Tanis, who flies away in a dropship. She says, I will always love you, before running away. Yeah, leaving your child with some random people is an amazing sign of love. Why didn't her mother simply just get on the dropship too? Sending her away because you have no other option is one thing, but this movie doesn't prove that to us at all. We get this Star Wars style hologram. It shoots out of Claptrap like it would from R2-D2. Lilith's mother recorded this for Lilith. Apparently this Claptrap once belonged to Lilith's parents. Maybe they wiped the Claptrap's memory or something. Why would they do that? Who knows?
I've made sure that Claptrap will find you. Help you understand.
No one knew I was coming here, not even me. Who programmed you?
I don't know!
Her mother explains that she sent her away because she knew that Pandora wasn't safe. So go with her! Why the hell wouldn't you want to be with your own child? Even Moxie tells Lilith how much her mother loved her.
I hope that you know how much your mama loved you. She always told me how special you were.
I'm just not seeing it. Tanis, Krieg, and Tina are searching for the vault because Tina's gonna use what's in there to kill her father. She has no idea what's in there. She thinks it's a weapon.
He'll use whatever technology is inside and make super weapons.
She doesn't know how she's gonna use it, but she's gonna do that somehow. And she's gonna kill the CEO of Atlas. How are you gonna do that? Break into his massive tower? What's the plan here? There's no plan. Krieg sees a shiny thing on the ground, so he smacks it with his saw. And oh my god, that's where you put the MacGuffin. They put it in there and nothing happens. Oh my god, Tina isn't the chosen one after all. Atlas and his goons enter from behind an invisible tech wall because they were watching the whole time. Atlas has the same delivery as Tommy Wiseau from The Room, and I'm being 100% serious. He sounds exactly the same. It's so weird.
You survived the worst planet in the galaxy. You found the key and the vault itself.
They betrayed me. They didn't keep their promise. They tricked me and I don't care anymore.
Like, what the hell? Turns out Lilith is the special one, not Tina. She's the Firehawk. Look at Lilith's face as she turns with her sweet new wings of fire. There's something seriously wrong with it. Why is her face drooping so much? She's melting! Quick, put the wings out! Lilith gives her friends little force fields. Can she do that in the game? I don't know. Remember in Star Wars The Last Jedi, when the rebel ship pierces the First Order ship by going hyperspeed into it? Well, for some weird reason, Lilith thinks she can do the same thing, and she tries to ram the Atlas ship with her body. Bold plan, let's see if it works out for her. No. Clearly, it didn't. After negating a shit ton of fall damage, she deflects a laser from the ship back at the ship and destroys it. During this final encounter, Krieg gets his mask damaged. When he's wearing the mask, he has an eye patch on underneath. But when the mask is damaged, it's revealed that there was no point for the eye patch because his eye is perfectly fine. Maybe he wore it for style.
Are you a pirate? Pirates are in this year?
We then enter the vault. Oh my god, it's so exciting. And it turns out to be a giant blue room with floating rocks. It looks like shit. A tentacle monster kills Atlas, the most unsatisfying big baddie death in the history of cinema. I didn't hate him. I didn't like him. I felt completely apathetic towards him. Watching him die meant nothing to me because he did nothing throughout the movie. They couldn't have put in at least one more scene of him doing something evil? Like, what the hell? He did practically nothing in the movie, and we're supposed to, like, cheer when he dies?
Created you to open a vault. What an asshole.
Okay. Make him do something else! Oh, and he's rich. He's a rich corpo guy, so we have to kill him. Because all rich people are evil. Well, they are. We're not going to get into that. At the end of the movie, the group watches fireworks, kind of like in Star Wars, and Lilith has a final quip about being too old.
Come on, do the thing.
I'm a bit old, I think, to be setting myself on fire for your amusement.
The movie's got to remind us that it's self-aware. All right, guys, I'm done talking about this dumb movie. I thought it was so bad. Let me know what you guys think of it in the comment section down below. Again, thank you so much to Game of Thrones Legends for sponsoring this video. Click the link at the top of the description or scan the QR code to get 50 gold, 3,000 food, and a daily summon token to start your journey. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.
Twerk it, work it out now. Do the clap trap. It's hey, wait, no, what's going on here? No, it's my Easter egg. Ah, you son of a, don't make me leave. Not when I'm giving the people what they want.
I'm sorry for putting you through the claptrap thing at the end. They did it in the movie too. If I had to see it, you had to see it, goddammit.